for a moment. But you probably have noticed already, I am guide. I am not capable of just walking in front of you and talking into my microphone and holding up my paddle. I cannot do that. I want to see your face, your reaction when I talk about something. What I will do is minimize the number of dates throwing at you, because my experience had been most of them are gone before you're back on board. So I would like you to concentrate on stories. So, if you look in this direction, you see on that building on the wall a basket. Can you see that basket? Yes. What is it good for? There. Now I must go back a step further. About 2 years ago, I read in an English spoken paper the following sentence: "You only see what you know." That was for me like opening. You only see what you know. Passau had been for 800 years a hotspot for trading with salt. So, we have heard of the city of Salzburg. If you translate it into your language, it is salt fortress. Okay? So, the Celts 3,000 years ago figured out that in the region around Salzburg, you could dig salt from inside the mountains. And a Roman philosopher said 2,000 years ago the following wise thing: you can happily live without gold. Please stay on the left. You could happily live without gold, but you cannot live without salt. Each of us needs 6, 7, 8 grams per day, otherwise you die. But today we don't appreciate salt at all. Why? It is available in abundance and bloody cheap. But salt was for thousands of years the most important item to deal with. More important than horses, soldiers, wine, leather, meat, whatever. Salt was the #1 material. And therefore the emperor in this part of the world ruled in 1300, to be precise, 1333. You must remember that. That salt coming from Salzburg region shall only be transported on waterway. And therefore all the salt had to come down the river in and was spent landing here on little barges and boats. They used this kind of containers to transport the salt on the waterway. And also by law, the salt had to be stored in that building physically for 3 days. Why? To allow the local dealers to buy whatever they needed for the local market, and whatever was left over was then free for being exported to Bohemia. Bohemia is behind me 100 miles. Then the salt had to cross from the river Inn, the river Danube, the river Ilz, and then on horseback it was moved to Bohemia. So please come with me. You will now move to the right side. Here. We are a little bit in safety. Please move to the right. To give you an idea how much salt was moved to Bohemia, between end of April, that was the end of the winter period, and end of November, every week, per week 1,200 horses left Passau, and each one packed with 250 pounds salt. So that was the quantity which was moved from this part of the world to Bohemia. So I changed the subject now. We'll make a little stop here. And on the left up there you see paintings. I would like to explain them briefly. First of all, what is behind those walls? This big wall. From 800 till 1800 it was a monastery for ladies. So behind the walls were ladies. And the ladies were following the rule of the Benedictines, and on the left up there you have Saint Benedict, the founder of the Benedictine order, And he declared the basic rule of Benedictines is pray and work. Ora et labora. That was there. Please stay over there. Oh no. In the middle you have Mary, Queen of the Heaven, and on the right you have got a gentleman, and obviously he is the emperor. He is having a crown, a scepter in his left hand. And why has he made it up there? Because this emperor decided around about 850, all the toll, the tariffs, the duty, whatever we want to call it, collected from the salt being exported to Bohemia, all that money went into the pocket of the ladies here. So the ladies behind the wall had been in a financially secure and solid condition. So please come with me. So what is behind the wall right now? No more, it's no longer a monastery. It's now a school for girls, a secondary school and high school. And there are about 700 girls going to school. Hopefully to learn something for life. If you move to the right a little bit. That's a problem when you walk around in an old city.
Yeah.
We are used to it, we'll play it. For us it's normal, right? But if you're not used to it, it is maybe a little bit frightening, huh? No? So please come with me.
It's so narrow, right?
Okay, please stay on the right. Thank you. What you see up there is cantilever. There's a name, some Alten Bräuhaus. It means that in that building had been a brewery for hundreds of years, not today anymore. And on the right, that is what I wanted to talk about it. You see at the top a red wolf. That is the crest, the animal, which is a symbol for the state. Please stay on the right. Thank you. You know why I'm always standing in the middle of the street? It's a simple trick to slow down the speed of the car for you.
Yeah.
But I need a pat. Please come with me. I will survive. Don't be afraid. Okay.
Oh, that,
Please stay on the right.
see that Tesla there?
Yeah.
Model Y?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Model Y. Older one.
So we make a little stop here. I would like to have you all on one side. It makes my life a little bit easier. Please stop here. Don't go into the street. The reason I stop here, if that one is moving, then I have it easier to explain what I wanted to do. Thank you. You see the man standing next to the bridge? The figure? That is Saint Nepomuk. Have you been told in the last couple of days the story of Saint Nepomuk so far?
No.
You might know that. I have decided. It is the one figure in Europe which is most often depicted in public and mostly next to a bridge. Because this gentleman has got the name being the bridge saint. And his name is Nepomuk. John Nepomuk. What is the story behind? John Nepomuk lived around about 1390 in Prague. He was a priest but he was at the same time also a confessor for the Queen of Bohemia. And one day the Queen wanted to confess, and after the confession, 2 hours later, the king came and said to Nepomuk, "What did my wife tell you?" He was not allowed to talk about it under the seal of confession. So the king was so annoyed that he decided, next day the men shall be drowned in the river. So he was killed, and in those days it was a tradition that a cleric, please stay on the right, a cleric would never be hanged or beheaded, a cleric always was drowned. So that is the reason he was drowned in the river. And about 200 years later, 15 something, in this part of the world, Praha is about 100 miles away from here, people started to drown him because of his strong character. He did not talk about what he was not supposed to do anyhow. So people adored him, and so he became the bridge saint. And he is now the person who is looking after your safety on your way to Amsterdam. So if you arrive in Amsterdam in a healthy and a safe condition, you have to thank him. Right? Okay, please come with me. And now we change to the left. Also going around the corner, make a little stop here. If you stay here. Thank you. Right, come around the corner, otherwise you cannot see it. What I wanted to show you. I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, you only see what you know. The statements I read 2 years ago. I will mention it a couple of times during the tour. If you look over there, on the building on the first level is the lady standing. She is Mary of the Victory. Why has Mary got the title be Mary of the Victory? And that has to do also with history. Between 1300 and 1600, there was a constant battle, not every day, but almost every year, between the Muslims from Turkey. They tried to get into Central Europe, and people living here, Christians, did not want the Muslims to take the area where they are living. So in 1570, there was a sea battle near Greece, and the night before the battle took place, all the sailors prayed to Mary and asked her to grant them victory. The next day the battle took place, they made it, and therefore she got the title Mary of the Victory. And what is interesting, she is standing on a globe, and if you look from here, you can see it maybe with your naked eyes. Around the globe is a snake, and the snake is always a symbol of the evil. And she is killing physically the evil, right? And around her head there's something else quite interesting, I think. There are 12 golden stars. And these 12 golden stars are the original 12 Jewish tribes as mentioned in the Old Testament. So this is where you see the little details in links. You only see what you know, okay? So please come with me, we're crossing the road now.
Yeah, I know. Something. I know. He said that's 900 years old or something.
Pretty winter
Oh,
building.
Europe's largest and best preserved castles. And this castle they started to build in 1219. And the question is why in 1219? Now, I have to go back in history now for a second. The Roman Empire was gone around about 480. And then historians call the time from 500 till 1500 medieval time. And at the beginning of the medieval time, the first 200 years are also referred to as the Dark Ages. Maybe you have heard the term before. What does it mean? Has somebody forgotten to switch on the light? No. The Dark Ages refer to the fact no documentation there. We do not know what happened. In 739, first time after the Roman days, Passau was mentioned again in a document, which is still there. And 739, Passau became the seat of a bishop. And ever since that day, Passau had been a holy city, a bishop's seat. And 500 years later, 1200, the bishop became the title Prince Bishop. What does that mean? The bishop also became the ruler of the town and the area around it of the little land called Passau. So the Prince Bishop was wearing two different hats, a secular hat and a religious hat at the same time. And when he got that title Prince Bishop, 2 years later, to protect his secular power, they started to build the castle up there. Today it is Europe's one of the best preserved and largest castle we have. Size inside total 70,000 square yards, which are roughly 600,000 square feet, right? So it's quite a big thing. When you look in this direction, we're now a little bit closer. You see in the central part of the building a big crest on the house, a colorful crest. And below you can read a figure. Can anyone help me and tell me what figure you can read? Sorry? The number?
1999?
1999? Yes, sir.
No, that's what it looks like.
10.
Sorry?
1099.
1099? No, sir. We stopped the game now. It's unfair what I'm doing. I know that because I know the answer and you don't. Okay. Okay. Now, you might have heard when you visited in Vienna St. Stephen Cathedral, a Gothic building. The Gothic period is defined from 1200 till 1500 roughly. That is the Gothic period. In the Gothic period, it was a tradition in some parts in Europe to write the figure 4 as half an 8. If you look at the second digit, that is half an 8.
Okay.
So they finished that building in 1499.
Oh,
Okay?
okay. We would have never known that.
I didn't know some time ago. I didn't.
1499. Look at that.
May I ask the group, who in my group today is not coming from the States? 3, 4, whereabout?
Canada.
Canada? Sorry?
Scotland.
Scotland, okay. I was once up in Tongue at the
All right.
furthest point.
That'll be a Glasgow.
Okay. So, the reason I ask is the following. If I would ask the question, which country is older? US or Germany? What would you say? Germany.
Germany.
That's wrong. US is older as a state, as a country. Germany, as it exists today, most people don't realize that, was only founded in 1871. Right? And the reason I mentioned that, at the top of that tower, below the roof level, there are 6 crests on it, right? And if you multiply it by 4, it's 24. These are the 24 founding states when Germany was founded in 1871. And with that knowledge, you feed 90% of people living here in Passau because they don't know that. So we're now in the privileged position. So that tower does not belong to a church. That tower belongs to the city hall. And that again has to do with the Prince Bishop now. That sounds odd, but it is fact. Why? The Prince Bishop became the boss of the town, and people in Passau did not want to live under the rule of a prince bishop. So every 50, 80 years there was some kind of riot or uprising between 1200 and 1500. But the prince bishop had more money, more means to defend his position. If he would have lost it, he would have lost the title prince. And that was important for him, right? And therefore people eventually, 1400, I express it in this way, to please their ego, they made an absolutely magnificent city hall, imagine, for 4,000 people. This is what the population had been in those days. I have been traveling a lot in the world. I've never seen 4,000 people having such a magnificent city hall plus tower on top of it, right?
Yeah.
But they needed it, obviously, psychologically, to please their ego because they couldn't get rid of the prince bishop as a boss. So, please come around the corner here. You can stay in the shade if you wish. If you look up here on the building, guess who is greeting you there? Huh? No. The guy who was also standing next to the bridge, Saint Nepomuk. Now we see him face to face. And that's typical the way he is positioned. He is always like that, leaning to the right and holding the cross in his hand. That is Saint Nepomuk. Below you can read Scharfrichterhaus in German. In English, executioner's house. Oh yeah, oh yeah. But that is misleading. Why? An executioner, when Passau was an independent state till 1800, the executioner was never ever living in the center of the city. He was always at the fringe or outside. Why? Nobody wanted to have the guy next door neighbor. Right?
Yeah.
So the meaning here is a different one. In the 70s, Passau was ruled by a conservative party. The bishop here is a conservative situation. The local newspaper was conservative too. So the young generation could not relate to that situation. So they started to express their thinking and feelings in different ways. And one way was they created in that building a place for minor art where only political comedy and political satire was a key topic. And still is today. It is one of Germany's top 10 places if you're interested in this kind of subject, political comedy or political satire, right? And they use the word Scharfrichter, executioner, to express, how to say it, the deeper feeling behind. So please come with me. So, may I ask, if anyone in the group staying in the afternoon here, okay? One option you could be doing, you are going then at 5:30 on bus back, catching up the boat, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Over there you see the sign on the green H on the yellow background. You see that? You can pick up a shuttle bus and go up to the castle in 10 minutes. You have to pay €5 to get there.
Yeah.
And then you can walk around. You can also visit the museum if you want to, and then come down. So at the full hour and at the half hour leaving here, and up there, 2:15 and 2:15, a shuttle bus is going down here. So please come with me. On the left we are now passing the city hall. And up there you see 5 beautiful gentlemen, colorful gentlemen. And these 5 gentlemen were all benefactors. They did something great for the city between 1200 and 1500. And if you look here in front, that was originally the main entrance to the city hall. You have been, I'm sure, explained in Vienna when you visited St. Stephen Cathedral, the typical feature for a Gothic period is always a pointed arch. When you have a pointed arch, you know it must be Gothic. If it's round, it cannot be Gothic, right? And here you can see the pointed arch, and above there, you see the 2 lions holding the crest, which is a red wolf. In the US, the crest is a bald eagle. In Canada, you've got the maple leaf. And what is Scotland? I don't know. Sorry? A unicorn. Okay. I've got twins at age 4. You know what they are? 4 unicorns. Unicorns on the back and on the rear and everywhere. I didn't know that. I learned something now. The unicorn is a heraldic figure for in Scotland. Okay. Okay. I can learn every day when I'm with a group. I just have to ask questions.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Look at this music.
Oh wow.
In front of the city hall, and you see figures here. I usually try to walk by, but now I know if I do not talk about it, then somebody will say, Berthold, what are those things? Because I usually explain it somewhere else. Okay, doesn't matter, I do it now here. These are water levels of the river Danube. Over there we've got the Danube, and we get every 10, 20, 30 years a devastating high water situation. How come? Behind your ship, where the three rivers join, the river Inn is coming from Switzerland, from the Swiss Alps. And in May, June, July is carrying more water than the Danube because of the melting of the snow. Number two, the river Inn is always constantly running at a higher speed than the river Danube. So the two factors combined, more speed, more water, means at the point of confluence behind your ship, the Inn is pushing back the water of the Danube. The Danube cannot flow. So it's not a flash flood. It takes about a week or 10 days reaching the peak, and then staying there at the peak level for 1 or 2 days and then receding again. It will happen again, we do not know when, but we are pretty sure it will happen again, everybody knows it.
When did it happen last?
We had a little bit of a high water situation last year, and this was an exceptional one. The second highest was 12 years ago. That was the water level. Usually it is 12, 13 feet, and if you have 3 times that, 40 feet, then you are at that level here. Okay, we cross the road here. You can come with me. Stop for 1 minute, there's a car coming. Okay, now we can cross safely. And then we also got some shade for you. There, stop here. If you look at that building, that has been when Passau was an independent building state, the Justice Department. And today inside is a hotel, and on the right you can read Glass Museum. In this building there is the world's largest museum for Bohemian glass. And experts, not Berthold, experts say the Bohemian glass made superior 1600 to 1800 have been in mankind, they say, the last 3,000 years. The most creative and the most productive. So I recommend to you to think about it, to pay a visit for half an hour. You could stay a whole day. But half an hour gives you a beautiful feel for shape and colors, and you will be thrilled. But you have to make that decision yourself. That you would like to go inside for half an hour. So please come with me, and please stay on the right here.
Traffic reasons, which is bargain.
What we're doing now, and I do it this by purpose, we are swimming against the tide. So, I would like to make one more little detail, a little point regarding the Glass Museum. The man who opened the museum in 1985 made at another occasion a statement which you might have heard before. It's a small step for a man and a huge leap for mankind. Who said it?
Neil
Neil
Armstrong?
Armstrong.
Yeah.
Neil Armstrong opened the Glass Museum in Passau.
Oh,
Really? Wow.
If you go inside, there's a big photo of your country fellow from the States. When I first heard it, that Neil Armstrong opened the museum, I thought he must have got paid a lot of money. I couldn't imagine that Neil Armstrong was a lover of Bohemian glass, but I was wrong. The owner of that private collection and Neil Armstrong were friends. And therefore he said, Neil, I pay you the airfare, come over here, do the opening ceremony, and then I get a lot of PR out of it. So that was 16 years after he was on the moon.
wow.
Okay, please stay on the right.
What's the colored stones? Yeah.
The colored stones here, that's a marketing gimmick.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
Yellow brick road.
No, we wait here until the group is gone. The other one.
It's another Viking ship. Boat.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
We are now in a street which is entirely still typical medieval. Why? The city of Passau had a devastating city fire 1662. 70% of the houses were destroyed. And the street we are now walking through was not affected by the fire. So all the houses are more than 500 years old.
Wow.
And that is Berthold's second most liked motif of Passau. I wanted to share that with you. Okay? Please come with me.
What are those? What are these here? The pipes coming down?
That is the waters collected from the roofs.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Right?
all right. Yes, yes.
I think you call them, how do you call them? Gutters?
Gutter, culvers, yeah. Gutters, yeah.
It goes down in the ground. Yeah.
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 We have got everything underground here. Electricity, gas, sewage, water, phone, whatever. It's always underground, and sometimes you can see, okay, if I see a place, whenever you see a spot like that, there's something down there. If something has to be repaired, then expert will just, please stay on the right, okay? So that is the ideal situation for having cobblestones, right?
Yes.
Because there's one question, please don't ask Berthold how old are the cobblestones, I don't know. Could be 200 years, could be 800 years. I have no idea. Please stay on the right.
Is it nice, eh?
Yeah, very nice.
We just have to stay on the right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So you can
Take a left turn and step. Okay, so when you go through here and you see a pointed arch door frame, then you know it's from the Gothic period, more than 500 years old, right? Also, if you have a glance to look inside, that is original from more than 500-600 years back. Don't go inside, it's a private premise, so we're not allowed to go into it. And just look backwards every 50 or 100 steps you are taking, and the impression, the picture is always changing, right? You always have a different view. Okay, please come with me. There's another good time. I told you we are swimming against the tide. Thank you. Thank you, Ronnie. That was mine.
That is one of them.
So, please stay right.
2013 we have been. Yeah, that can happen. If I may take you all a look on the right, please. There's another Viking road from the other side. Good morning, sir.
Morning, so we'll make a little stop
We
here.
always have this little
And if you look in this direction, you see marks on the wall. This is my preferred spot to explain it. Why? We are now in an area where you can relate what it does to people, because people are living here, right?
Yeah.
If you are in an open space like in front of the city hall, it's an open space, full stop. But here, you see 12 years ago, the water level had been at the ceiling of the bedroom. Okay?
Oh my, it was that high?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how fast would that happen? Like, would you wake up in the morning?
No, it is not a flash flood.
Oh yeah, you were
It takes
saying.
about 8 to 10 days,
Okay.
and people can get all their valuable things somewhere else.
Yeah.
And it is not a danger for their life or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because it is happening again and again. So everybody, police, fire brigade workers, technical assistant, everybody know exactly what to do at what step. And then there's always a pre-warning period, because it raises by the hour 1 or 2 centimeters. So that is, it cannot be compared what you see something, how to say, dreadful on the TV set. It is different here. But nevertheless, in the media in Germany, they know exactly where to put their TV That's there to have to produce beautiful pictures. Which is, I think it is sad, but that is our life today.
Yeah.
So, we make a left turn here. Please come with me. So, some of you may not have done your morning exercise. Did I phrase it correctly? May not have done. Is that correct English?
That is correct.
Okay, then I'm glad that at least I got that one right, okay? I cannot do otherwise. We have to climb together a little mountain.
Okay.
Why? Passau is built on a rock. At the highest point of elevation always is the church, since thousands of years. And then from the top of the rock situation, you go down to the river Danube on this side, and on the other side down to the river Inn. And therefore we are constant on the move here. And some people say it is healthy. Whether that is correct or not, I don't know. We will make a little break halfway up, so you can catch your breath. So, we make a little stop here. The reason I chose that place, the surface behind, look at the door here. It's a beautiful oak door. It was produced and made in 1603. And there's a special thing on it. I want to talk about. Can you see that here? That is a door flap. What is that good for? In this part of the world, between 1350 and 1650, for 300 years, we had every 30, 40, 50 years tragedy, the bubonic plague, or we call it here the Black Death. And in those days, when there was an outbreak, 10%, 20%, 30%, 40% of the population died. Because we didn't have vaccines in those days, right? People knew that you shouldn't get in contact with somebody who is infected. This was known, but there was no cure. And therefore they invented this kind of door flaps. So things could be in or out of a house without meeting the person living in the building. That was the purpose behind it.
Could you put a body through there?
Sorry?
Could you put a body? Would they put the body?
No.
No.
A bottle of wine or a bottle of water.
Oh, okay. I just remember Monty Python's "Bring Out Your Dead." Bring out your dead in the old days. They had wheelbarrows and they
Yeah.
put them out. Where would you be put if you died with the Black Death?
Sorry?
How would you get rid of the body if you?
Okay, there were people.
Yeah.
They had all the special clothes on.
Okay.
Okay. And whether that was always a big help or not, that's something else. But at least that is in those days what they could do in order to prevent anything.
Yeah.
And then they were carried on a car outside the city and burned somewhere.
Burned. Yeah.
So we cross the road here. And I promise you no more peaks to be climbed with petrol today. That was the only one. Does it make you feel good? Hopefully. Please cross the road. Thank you. We move in this direction. across the road here. You go over here. I got some shade here for you. So, we are now in front of the cathedral in Passau. And I asked a little bit first for your imagination. Yeah, I know the guide would never talk about something you can see, a basic rule. Close your eyes for a second and imagine there's a big Gothic cathedral here. It was destroyed in 1662. Something I've seen in Vienna, right? That is similar. Now, this church is dedicated to St. Stephen. And the name of the church of the cathedral in Vienna was what? St. Stephen. A little bit more intelligent and using the same name. There's a reason behind it. When the bishopric of Passau was founded in 739, Passau was in Central Europe, size-wise, the largest bishopric, reaching from Passau all the way along the river. It all belonged to Passau. So Vienna belongs to Passau. It sounds strange because they have today 1.5 million. And that is the reason we've got this big cathedral here. Because the boss of the bishopric had to shout to the outside road that he is the boss. And he needed the biggest building. And that's it. The people in Passau were only 4,000. I have never been in the world somewhere where 4,000 people had a church like that, right? And it was not even the official church for the city. You see behind that tree, maybe you see the church tower at the top. This was the city church for the people here, not this one here. So, when the Gothic cathedral was destroyed, they didn't rebuild it. And why did they go to Baroque? Have you heard of Martin Luther? I think so. Martin Luther started the Reformation 1517, and in the next 120 years, more and more people left the Catholic side and joined the Protestants. And eventually the Catholic Church realized that to do something about it to stop the bleeding. So I now want to switch into marketing language. Had to stop the bleeding and to avoid and to try to win back those who were gone, which are lost, right? Because they lost market share in a marketing sense. So the Catholic Church decided roughly 1640 to start the Counter-Reformation. Fight back. And what tools did they have? Now, you might have heard Martin Luther at one stage said churches inside should be plain and simple, no decoration on the wall, nothing which could distract you from reading the Holy Scripture. That was Martin Luther. And the Catholic side went then the opposite way in order to convince people to come back or not to leave. And this church here was the first Baroque church built north of the Alps and still is today the largest one we have north of the Alps, right? So we are now going inside in a minute, and before I do that I have to ask the men to take off their hats. Why? Sure. Respect. That was the word I was looking for. It is not wrong but not completely correct either if I say only respect. Why? I didn't say everybody has to take off their hat. I said men. And therefore, what is the reason behind? In ancient time, a man was wearing a hat. The hat was a symbol of secular power, and therefore, out of respect, the men took off their hat because behind the door is religious power. So please come with me.
Did you hear that black red star? He's singing in that tree.
No.
Oh, look at the carpet. Wow. Oregon.
This is small piece. Church where the bishop has his cathedral.
There's one more seat here in the front row. There you come forward and let the ladies be in the front. It doesn't cost more. Please be seated. Thank you. I will leave you alone for 1 minute so you can look around, take pictures, whatever intrigues you most. And I have a chance to count how many will be here. So, let's pursue the minute is over. I told you outside, it is the first church built in Baroque style, known as the Alps. Baroque style was invented around about 1640 in Italy. And therefore all the artists who worked on this casino in here came from Italy. Nobody knew how to do and work out Baroque, right? So they all came from Italy. So it's a typical Italian Baroque church. In the last couple of days you have been visiting a couple of Baroque churches and then Austria. It's quite different, right? This is the original version of Baroque. And in an Italian Baroque church it is most easy to explain what Baroque is all about. Now imagine for a moment you are a faithful person, you have problems, you come to the church, what you're seeking, looking for is help, belief. That is what a religion is for, right? Assume for a moment you sit in a pew here and your eyes are wandering up on the big building and you realize there's nothing on the wall until you come halfway up. No decoration, no details, no color. And the higher you look, the more color, the more decoration, the more beauty comes into play. And I ask you, in a religious sense, what is up there? Heaven. That's Baroque, in a nutshell. Baroque wants you to leave behind the earthen environment and put you into a religious mindset. That's the idea of Baroque. And this can be best seen and experienced in an Italian Baroque style Baroque church. Now, a few technical details. In this church worked 14 stucco workers for 17 years, do nothing else than just the decoration, the stucco work. What is stucco made of? Sand, lime, and water. And what is really special, everything was done in here by the men on the spot by hand. There was no prefabrication. Whether it was a small flower or if you look at the ceiling, those big figures holding the ceiling, oh, it looks like that, they are twice man size. It was all done on the spot by hand. And what is most intriguing for me is not the 17 years and 14 men. For me, the most intriguing detail is that the man who was in charge of the 13 men must have been an exceptional strong character. How do you guide 13 individual artists to do exactly the same thing? Because you cannot see 14 different handwritings on the wall. It looks like it was done by one person. And I think that is the outstanding achievement, right? Another thing, I cannot talk about it, but I will try to do it anyhow. If you promise me only to look 2 seconds to the rear and then look back to me. Only 2 seconds, please. There's nothing to see really, just a crane. But in the rear here, we usually could see the beautiful organ. We have the largest church organ in the world in here. And therefore, the recommendation is at the end of the tour, think about it to join the organ concert at 12 o'clock for half an hour. What does it mean, the largest church organ in the world? 18,000 pipes. But I have to correct myself, because if you go back on board and check out the figures I gave you, then you could say Bertolt didn't tell me the true facts. I know the figure is wrong, 18,000. So the real figure is 17,974. And I have decided if you remember 18,000, that's good enough, okay? What they are doing at the moment, they are enlarging it and going from 18,000 to 20,000 pipes. And therefore they have taken away some of the pipes. As a matter of fact, in here are 5 organs, but they are all played from one desk or one manual. The main organ on the left, on the right, number 3. Number 4 is behind the ceiling, there's a little opening there, and number 5 is over there. An organ is called the Queen of Instruments. You might have heard that term before. Why is it called the Queen of Instruments? Because with an organ you can play the loudest compared to any other instrument, and you can play the softest. To give you an example, the largest pipe of this organ has a width of 2 feet and a height of 40 feet. The smallest pipe, can you see it? Half a centimeter. That is the scope. And if this organ in this church is played with full blast, the organ takes not per minute, per second, 800 gallons of air. That's quite a big volume, right? Now, another little detail is the paintings on the ceiling, and everywhere else as well. They are all done in fresco technique. What is fresco technique? Fresco is a technique which was used by the Romans and before, and when the Roman Empire was finished, 500, it became a forgotten technique. And 1,000 years later in Italy, around about 1500, they reinvented fresco technique. You know what is so special about fresco? The artist is adding the color onto or into the wet plaster. And that means the color will never ever change for thousands of years. The beauty will always be the same. But we have in Germany nowadays a problem, and that is called air pollution. So every 70 years in this church, the paintings must be cleaned. And where does the dirt come from? Not from a few candles being burned in here. The dirt really stems primarily from heating systems and cars. That's where we got the air pollution in Germany from. And they have just finished, half a year ago, the cleaning job, which took them 2 years. So therefore there are no scaffolds in here right now, so you are lucky. But if you come back in 70 years, then maybe they are just cleaning the fresco paintings again. If you look over here, there's also something very special, the pulpit here. In Catholic churches, pulpits are no longer used. They stopped using it in 1965 with the official argument, we now have got loudspeaking systems, we don't need them anymore. But I think there's a second argument behind, and the second argument, I don't talk about it, is one doesn't like to talk down anymore. That is psychologically not in anymore. But what is special here, that's a special piece of art. It will always stay in here because it's very special. It is carved out of basswood and completely covered with gold. When I say completely covered with gold, I try to concentrate on the expression of my female guests. Sometimes I can see the wish, I would like to have something covered with gold at home, but I cannot afford it. Then I must say, ladies, you're wrong, you can afford it. All you have to do is skip 1 or 2 evening meals, it saves you $100, and with $100 you can buy 1 gram of gold. And 1 gram is very tiny. But you have to convince your partner to beat the gold for you. So then you can cover with 1 gram of gold 2 square yards in your bathroom or living room area. So I wish you success convincing your partner. Have you heard of gold leaf? The expression, that's what it is. For this total area, I personally estimate 60 square yards. Only 1 gold coin was needed with 30 grams. That's all. Hard to understand, but that's it. Okay. If I ask for the music, please come with me. We're not going. Get closer now. Now. Painting church. The church dedicated to Saint Stephen, right? You might have read the story of Saint Stephen being the first emperor in Christianity. So that's and you see at the bottom of the painting, the man kneeling on the cross of Saint Stephen. By a manstone and his stone and buried. That is a stone and seed. It is an altar that Saint Stephen said before he died, Father, my sins in heaven open. That was another sentence. And if you look a little bit wider on the painting, there's a band of clouds around the painting. And this is revived between the earth and environment where we live, and above the cloud is heaven. Father, I see the heaven open. So anything which is above the cloud is heaven. So you can look into heaven in this church, you can even take a picture of heaven, but I also must add it, as the artist Mr. interpreted with our sentence, right? So that is the story of Saint Stephen. And one thing in here which is special, look over there, on the right you see a big chair. Can you see the chair? This chair is reserved for the bishop when he participates in the service. Only the bishop is allowed to sit there. Because the chair is a symbol of the religious power of the bishop within the bishopric. And the chair is with a name called cathedral. Therefore, the word cathedral stands for cathedral. So whenever you hear the word cathedral, you know about the place of the bishop. Okay, move this way. Thank you.
Oh, it's a different day, right? Because next Sunday is always the first Sunday.
Still reading? No? I help you. M stands for 1,000, E for 500, C for 100, L for 50, and X is 10, right? So it is 1693. What happened in 1693? The church was destroyed. It was rebuilt in Baroque fashion. When they finished in 1693, that was the day. Another little detail, the church is not only decorative. Everything you see in here has a meaning and tells us a story. It's like a picture book of the Bible, really, if you want to talk about it. So if I would go into those details, we would spend a couple of hours in here. Give you only one little example. If you look up at the top here, on the arch on the left side, there on the left and on the right, there are ladies sitting. These are virtues. And the left one is holding a column in their hand, and the column is a symbol for fortitude. But it is only one little example that whatever you see in here is telling a story, is giving us a religious message, right? It is not decoration just to be beautiful by itself. So please come with me. Take the left hand again. So that's the only area where we can come close to the fresco paintings. And this bay, this area is dedicated to music. And if you look at the paintings, there is something special in this area here. Each angel is playing an instrument. And the reason is the area is dedicated to Saint Cecilia. She is the patron saint for music. And up there is the organ case. That's it, right? So there is the link. So please come with me. So the last one should give me a sign that we are complete now again. The question is only, does the last one know that he is the last one? So I have to play it with quite good luck. Are we complete?
I think so.
Okay. If you belong to my group, let me know. Okay, we are complete. Make a decision here. Otherwise, I wait here for 10 minutes and nobody is telling me I should move on. And you would like to hear and see something else. So please stay on the right. This building on the right is the original residence for the Prince Bishop, but no longer. In 1803, we had what is called secularization. You might have heard the term before. Let me explain to you what secularization is. Secularization means that all the property from the church and from the monasteries was confiscated and given to the state of Bavaria. So confiscation is a nice word for robbery, right? In legal terms. That's what it really was. So today the building belongs to the state of Bavaria, and inside the building you know the bishop, inside the building the state of Bavaria using it as an upper court. So to make a look, we stop here. Because I'm choosing that spot here. Please stay on the right. But I can tell you a little private story for a minute. When my kids were young, I often walked through here. And whenever I did it, I stood here and took a picture of that tower. Because that is Berthold's most liked motif of Passau. Still is today. I showed you the number 2, which was the... And this is my number 1. There's no logic behind. Don't try to find the logic. It is personal, I know it. And one day, the boy was about 12 or 13, he said to me, "Dad, what are you doing?" And I said, "Moritz, you see, I take a picture." And he looked at me and said, "Dad, you have taken the same picture already 25 times. And I had a problem. And next door is the Holy Spirit, and he helped me. And I said, "Moritz, the sun is shining different today." But today it is the ideal for Berthold because we have a blue sky. It couldn't be more beautiful. And don't ask me why it's my most liked, most favorite. It's just like that. Thank you for being with me. I have a good day today. I hope you too. So please come with me. May I ask you a question? When you had been visiting, the last couple of days, St. Stephen in Vienna, right?
Yeah.
Have you been explained what a stonemason sign is all about? No? I've decided you should have that knowledge before you go home. Come close to me. You see that here? Right? See that here?
Yeah.
These are symbols. Because we are now not in the Baroque period anymore. We are back in the Gothic world. If you look up here, let's go over there, then you can see it better.
Cross sticker.
Not in the Baroque world. This part of the building had not been destroyed by the big fire, so they left it, right? Please stay on the right. Well done. And I told you how to become a stonemason in those days, 1200 or 1500. A couple of conditions had to be fulfilled. The first condition had been you must have been born in wedlock. When I say that, it takes always 1 second, and then I can see the smile on the face. And I learned the word only a few months ago, and since that time I use it every time I have a chance. I think it's beautiful language. To be born in wedlock. Number 2 condition had been the parents must have had an exceptional, impeccable reputation. Not exceptional, impeccable reputation. Condition number 3, the boy who wanted to become a stonemason must have had special artistic skills. Imagine there's a block of stone, you have to make an angel. You have to see the angel in the stone before you start working on the stone, otherwise you will never find the angel in the stone, right? And condition number 4 had been training period 5 years. And then you became a stonemason. And the master of the guild handed down a symbol to you, which you had to use whenever you finished the stone. And if you look up there, you see the demonstration stone. Can you see it? 1968. And around that 1968, there are about 10 or 12 different symbols. These are typical stonemason signs. The stonemason had to mark the stone he finished with his symbol. So he was acting as a payslip, and one knew afterwards who made the stone. And today, what researchers going through Europe can figure out when a stonemason left place A and went to B to participate in building a Gothic cathedral. Some stonemasons stayed for 50 years at the same place, and some every 5 years left the place and they're curious to go somewhere else. But with that method, they had in the guild system the latest knowledge at a place achieved always travel to somewhere else, right? So it was also a movement of knowledge through Europe. So please come with me and please stay on the right. Thank you. Please stay on the right.
Were they members of that secret masonry? What is it? The masonry, the secret society for
The guilds.
the guild.
This was the guild. This
They
was
were
not,
guilds.
this was not a secret society.
Oh.
The guilds were the organizations who set the rules and or made sure that the rules are kept. And they were kind of, in a certain way, the boss for a certain area. For example, the stonemasons did not work for the builder, they worked for the guild. And therefore they had the freedom to leave every day their workplace whenever they wanted, right? So that was the system in medieval times. Now, we in Germany have, please stay on the right here, we have the tendency to think that people in medieval times were a little bit backward, right? They were not as watch it. They were not as good as we are today. That is nonsense. They were highly qualified in those days. What they didn't have got is computers. That's true. But that does not mean that they were stupid people. Come over here, I show you something else. If you look to the far end of that building, then you see with your naked eye the beautiful things they did to the building to make it more beautiful. In today's world, we would say, why the hell did they spend time, money, effort up there where nobody comes close to it? That is our thinking today, very often, not always, but very often. But they were thinking different 500 years ago. They beautified the building for the glory of God. That was the purpose why they spent time, money and effort up there, right? Now also, if you look in this direction, you can see the window, the big one, and you could say, Bertolt, there's something wrong with the window. You are correct. There's something wrong. It's not the typical Gothic window. It's Baroque around it. So why did they change it? Inside, everything should look Baroque. So even if you have a Gothic shaped window, you will have a clash of two styles. And therefore they sacrificed it. And below there's something very special. History written in stone. Can you see it? Why is history written in stone like most historians?
Thanks.
Very simple, you cannot change it, you cannot fake it. It's history written in stone. And what does it say us here? Anno Domini 1407, on the 7th of May, the cornerstone for this part of the cathedral was laid. And why especially the 7th of May? And in the medieval time, it was a tradition when you did something of a high importance level, like building a church, cathedral, and they related the date by laying the cornerstone with the date what happened sometime in the past. And they have chosen the 7th of May 560, 800 years earlier. What happened on that date? The relics of St. Stephen were moved from a church in Jerusalem to a church in Rome. That was the purpose of choosing the date of laying the cornerstone. Well, that is an important piece of information for you to know. I don't know, but I thought you should know it. So please come with me. We go over here. I've got 4 people who are not coming from the States. So for the 4 people not coming from the States, I hope the story I'm not telling is also of interest for you. Because it's a typical US story now, I'm telling you. Look over there, you can read Sänger. Can you see it on the wall? Sänger Gasse. Gasse is a German word for little lady. What has Sänger to do with the constitution in the States? That's my question to you. Sänger was a noble family from this part of the world. It can be traced back until 950. 1710, husband, wife from the Sänger clan and 2 kids immigrated to New York. The boy became later on an apprentice in the printer store. And in 1730, Peter Sänger started his own business, a newspaper, the New York Weekly Chronicle. And this paper was writing highly critical articles about the governor of New York. And the governor did not like to be criticized. So he was annoyed, went to the chief of the police, and took and decided to throw him in jail. Peter Sänger was in jail for 9 months, and then his trial came up. And by the end of the trial, the jury were acquitted, and they came back with the verdict acquitted. Now, 52 years later, your constitution was written. In the First Amendment, there's a sentence, freedom of press. That goes back to that Sänger case in New York. That is the link. Why did I tell you that? I thought you should know that. We are here referring to ourselves as being from the old world and you are from the new world, right? And it shows that there are links between the old world and the new world, and that's one of those little links. In case you have doubts of what I told you, you can check me out if you go to Wikipedia. So please come with me. So make a left turn here. little detail, if you look at the Gothic part of the building here, at the top you see in the central section a big crest. Can you see the crest? Yeah? And in the left and right adjacent segment at the top there are details, I call them a flower bouquet. One of those flower bouquets had been in such a rotten condition 30 years ago that a stonemason had to make a replica. And the stonemason who did it needed 1 full year to do only that one little part up there. Meaning that part is costing roughly $50,000. So the question could arise, couldn't I spend the money more intelligently? Before you give me your answer, I want to give you mine first, please. We have to do it, otherwise we lose our history. If we judge it on the grounds of return on investment, like a businessman would make a decision, there wouldn't be an old building around. Full stop. Right? It is not done for the tourists, it's done for the people living here, maintaining the history. And in that place here in front of us, a barn, a wooden barn, they are working since 1928. 15 trained stonemasons since almost 100 years, nothing else, making sure that this building is not collapsing, but staying in good shape. Okay? Now the question arises, who pays for that? Please come with me. It is not the church. It's the state of Bavaria. How come? I told you about secularization, the robbery. 15 years after that took place in 1818, the two parties were sitting around the table to find a solution for the secularization or robbery, and they came up with a contract, and this contract has not a closing date. It's forever. As a compensation for the confiscation of the properties and the world, just please come with me. The state of Bavaria has agreed to pay the salary for the bishop in Passau and for the chaplain, which are 10 men supporting the bishop in the daily work. So the 11 top men in the diocese are paid by the state of Bavaria, and although the 15 trained stonemasons are paid by the state of Bavaria. And the contract is not having a closing date, it means it's for eternity. Okay? So please come with me over this way. Well, please stay on the left here. There's some shade here. I want to make a little stop here and change the subject. Since you are with Berthold, you have not seen a modern building, right? How come? Are people in Passau having respect and pride and having the buildings? No, people in Passau are not the best of the world, I promise you. Something else. And in 1803, in that secularization, the bishop lost his title as a prince bishop, and Passau lost its independence and became overnight part of Bavaria. That was in the far east, southeastern corner, next to Austria, next to Slovakia. Passau became overnight, you know, they do a little bit about the place. So Passau stayed poor, and now they have the money to pay on our building house to build something more modern. The money was not there. And in 1973, the state of Bavaria launched a monumental that moment, all the buildings in the city were monumental protection. The owner was not allowed to change anything on the outside. In a nutshell, we could say 160 years of poverty is today our riches. That's what it is. Down here in this direction, imagine there are 3 or 4 or 5 houses modern in between, it would be a mess. Now it's a mess. So you could say in a nutshell, the property today is our richness. Okay? Although what you see from here, the street system is typical medieval, 500 years older. The house behind the house here different layers in one. That gives produces this kind of special characteristics of the beauty of this. So please come with me, we go this way.
What do the people of Passau think about all the tourists now? Like, it seems like there's lots.
What they think about it, Those who are mostly affected, like the little street where I had been walking in the morning, I can understand that they are not, how to say it, saying how great. When every morning I getting 2,000 people walking through there.
Yeah.
So please stay on the left here. But this is a minority and everybody tries, I for example try to walk through as quickly as possible. Right? But still I am with my 25 people there.
Yep.
Please stay on the sidewalk. Thank you. Passau itself is not really having a financial benefit from the tourist. You stay here for a couple of hours and then ask yourself the question how much money you have spent, right? Physically.
Right. Right.
It's limited.
Yeah.
But there is another group of people and they are having a pride that they are happy that other people have shown interest in their beauty they are living in. I think it is even elevating their pride or their esteem, right?
Yep.
So it works a little bit in both ways.
Yep.
You remember we came up that street here? I have chosen that route. Number one, there were not many other groups on the way. And number two, I wanted to be as early as possible in the cathedral to have the best possible seat. So please come over here and stay. There's another group from behind. Please stay on the side. Question to you. Are you ready for one more little story?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. Stay here. That was. If you look over there. No, I told you at the beginning of the tour, you only see what you know, right? This is for Passau. Wow. You only see what you know. I want to talk about that in detail here. When you are walking on your own back to the ship, or walking in the afternoon by yourself, or whatever you're doing, it will jump at you after I told you the story now. What is the story behind? You have heard of Epiphany. Epiphany is celebrated in Christianity on the 6th of January. The story behind this, the three wise men. In this country here we call it the three holy kings, but it is the same story. Were guided by a star, they followed and they found the grip. A few days before the 6th of January, girls and boys in this part of the world, age 6 to about 18, are getting in little groups, costumed as the three holy kings, from house to house. They sing a song, read a poem, and then they ask for a donation. If you are a nice person, you give them money. But if you are a little bit nicer than nice, you also give them a piece of chocolate. Why? The money they have to pass on in the evening to somebody else. They are not allowed to keep the money. Everything will be recorded and documented. The chocolate thing. And after you have done that, they write down this chart 2025 and in between C and B. Now 95% of Germans will tell you these are the initials for the three wise men, Caspar, Melchior, Balthasar. Right? That's wrong. It is in Latin, Christus mansionem benedicat. Translated, may Christ bless this house. So if you like the other version better, stick with it. It doesn't do any harm. So please come with me. Mine's a step here. So when passing here, I would like to have your attention for a second. Look to the left, and you can see how it looks inside when all the pipes which are missing at the moment are back in place again. This is the beauty of this kind of oven, but you couldn't see it today. That's why I said only look one split second back and then look in the other direction again. But here this is how it looks like when the pipes are back in place. So please come with me. So I take that back. So, there's nothing you know here. There's no contact on this side. When you go over there, there's some shade. Stay here. Now, what I would like to do is hand out a map to you. If you haven't got one already, you need to have a map because you want to find your ship again, right?
You take
I
it.
think so, that you would like to find your ship.
Thank you.
It's okay.
Who needs a map?
We didn't cross this bridge. We're down over here.
Where's the ship?
Right in here.
Oh yeah. Where are we?
So, please hold the map the way I hold it. Because this is how the peninsula is stretched, okay? We are in position 3 right now. Did you find it?
Yeah.
In front of the cathedral. And your boat is at position A2.
Oh,
That you have to remember, A2.
Okay.
And also, as a little reminder, if you can see the castle on the top, where the 1499 is written on it, then you know you must be at the River Danube. Because you can see on the other side there's all the big river here. So if you walk around and maybe you got lost, or the orientation is becoming a little bit complicated, right? So, let me reiterate what you could be doing is, some of you will have time till 2 o'clock, some will till 5:30. For those with 5:30, I can stay longer for a couple of minutes and give you a few ideas what you could be doing. Is who is staying longer till 5:30 in the city? I think you.
I think we're going to stay just till 2.
That's it too.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
By the end of the 2, I can give you a few more ideas,
Okay.
and I'm not bothering everybody else.
Okay.
So, what you see here,
Right.
this beige-colored area in that direction, that is where all the, we call it the pedestrian area, shopping, banks, pharmacies you find. And if you want to go there, between the 2 houses here, after 60 yards, make a sharp right turn, follow the little lane down the little hill, and then you are falling into the pedestrian area, into the shopping area. If you would be going for souvenirs, it's only the street over there. And then you have got all over the places, you have figured it out already, cafes. What is typical for a cafe here, it's an Austrian invention. Austria is so close to the place here. We pinched, we borrowed the idea. What's typical for a cafe, always homemade cakes. We wouldn't go to a cafe if there would be a home, if it's not a homemade cake. And you can always choose between 5, 7, 8, 10, 12 different kinds of homemade cakes. And please don't ask me which cafe is the best one. They're all good. So, at 12 o'clock there's an organ concert. If you want to go there, around the corner here, behind the wall, you buy the ticket and you should be inside 11:45. It's not a concert in the classic sense, it's more a demonstration what the organ can do. I also mentioned the glass museum you could do, and I also mentioned if you want to go up with a shuttle bus to the castle there. And much more time you haven't got if you want to do all those kind of things, because you want to catch the boat before it's leaving. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time with me. I enjoyed, and I hope you enjoyed it a little bit too. Okay?
We
Thank
did.
you very much, and have a great time, and you stay for a little bit longer. Okay? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Pleasure. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. If you enjoyed it, that's great.
And you said,
Thank you, sir. 1 second.
you said there
Thank you very much.
Shopping.
Yeah, that's the shopping area. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Shopping areas over there, right?
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Thank you. 1 second. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. Oh, it was something. So, the question is beer. Who was the gentleman asking for the beer? We give you, in principle, we have got 4 local breweries here. Our brewery system is completely different from North America. They have got 10 big breweries who always serve the rest of the country. The situation here is, a brewery is usually not acting on a national level, but on a local level. So every local has his own preferred beer. At the beginning, we passed it as my favorite place to be there at the beginning, next to the suspension bridge where I explained first time Nepomuk. It's called the Alte Bräuhaus. The reason I would go there when I go to a pub, because it is original furniture and anything inside which we had 50, 100 years ago. In Germany, we made the big problem, the mistake in the last 70 years. We had too much money, so we modernized everything. And now all the characteristics have gone. But that place, if you go inside, is a typical pub, and you will enjoy the beer. I'm pretty sure. Okay, question here was, what you are staying for the afternoon?
Till 2.
Till 2.
Till 2?
Yes.
So, concert, glass museum?
Yes.
Up there, or just walking around and having a cup of cake or whatever?
Okay.
That's
all right.
what you can
And
do in
where-
3 hours.
And where is that beer place you were saying? That
Next to here.
right at
Roundabout at that corner where I first time made a big stop and said over there is Saint Nepomuk.
Right.
He makes sure that you're ending up the trip in a healthy and a sound condition. That is the place. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Sounds good.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Yes, a question.
So,